Hello, hello, hello. My lights are not turning on for some reason. Okay. It's very dark. Normally when I turn on my stream, it just starts going. How do I make these manually turn on? What? Is it no longer so strange? What is going on? Okay. It's like I had an app for this installed and then it went away for some... Oh no, okay. It's gonna be dark for just a little bit because I can't. Is there a way? Actually, I don't know. Can I just like turn this on? Oh, but the settings are gonna be all jacked up if I do that. Let's see. This might work. Little like shoulder. Look at that. Boom. Lady arm action. Does it? Is this one? This one's kind of... Oh, this one has a power. Okay, cool. All right. Figured it out. There are manual buttons. I was worried that there were not manual buttons. Okay, we figured it out. I have light on my face. Oh my goodness. Hello, everyone. What is going on? You love my shirt? Thank you. I love it too. I was looking for shirts to wear today. I was like, I have not worn this like all summer. It's been kind of a dress summer this year, I'm going to be honest. This is from Mary Wyatt. I don't know if they still make this exact design, but I really, really love this style. It's like a tie back top situation. And obviously it shows off the tattoo. And that's always fun. And it's like a little cropped, but I also have a short torso, so on me it's not like really cropped. It covers like, it's like almost belly button area when I'm standing up. It's like a good crop length. I love it. I have two of these, and Mary Wyatt is basically one of the only brands I will buy new clothing from because it's a small indie brand made in the UK, and it's worth supporting, and it's not, you know, made at like a Shein factory or something. They're really good. Recommend them if you're like, what's that shirt? Actually, when I was camping this weekend, and I brought one of my Mary Wyatt jackets with me, and somebody I was sitting next to at the fire pit was like, your jacket's really cool. Do you mind if I ask like what band that's for? And I get that question all the time because a lot of times their logo design like looks sort of band logo-esque, and I have to explain, no, it's a alternative like fashion brand. It's not actually a band, but it's like a good way of getting a cool design that looks sort of band t-shirt-esque without having to actually like be into a particular band or face questions from people that are like, so do you like Death for a Cowboy? Like sometimes you do and sometimes you don't. So all right, let me get the chat set up here because that's also disconnected because oh yeah, no, I've it's been a long, oh yeah, I guess I don't normally like show the, normally, it's not all of it, but this is at least the visible part. It's, you know, there you go. You can see that. Actually, like, I can kind of like, I can scooch back here. Also, I'm wearing my Kink Fest shorts. I forgot about that, but yeah, good. If you're on my Instagram, there's a tagged photo that shows the whole situation. But yeah, this is I'm like really bad at posing. I like don't know how to like actually show off the whole tattoo. But there you go. That's more or less it. But I can show on YouTube. If I was on a Twitch stream, that probably would have gotten me like slammed for like adult content stuff. Yeah, I love it. My artist is Marina Tattoos. She's working at a new shop now, and I can't remember what it's called, but she's here in Portland, and she's a doll. She's amazing. She does really, really great work, and she does general, like highly detailed black and white. She does red, too. She does, she'll do little color accents occasionally, but mostly does black and white, like really detailed fine line tattoos. And she's the only person I ever want to get tattooed by. So there you go. I always look at the logos on your shirt, assuming they're bands. Haha, so I get that. There's like, if I'm wearing a band t-shirt, what band t-shirts do I even like still own? I think I have like an Evanescence t-shirt that I'll occasionally wear. And then, like, it's, you know it's Evanescence because it's the font and it's like, it says Evanescence. Like there's no confusion there. But that's basically about it. All right. What I was going to originally do was get the chat synced up the way that I like. But anyways, how is everybody? It's been a hot minute. It has been a while. Last week it was my birthday. It was my birthday on July 5th. I am now 31 years old. I've been in the BDSM community for 10 years, and now I am old, and I can say things about how back in my day, or I remember when that happened, which I've always kind of been able to say because the internet moves so fast. Like, I remember things that happened on Kink Tumblr in like 2017. Like, I am a keeper of the ancient lore. Like, actually, I'm curious if anyone remembers this. I'm sure nobody does, but we've been having some choking discourse again recently, and I don't think I'm gonna make another video about it. Actually, maybe I can feel I have a rant coming on. Maybe I should just like go ahead and like preemptively put this in the title. Yeah, let's just add that in there. That seems like a good enough. There, yeah. Okay, so there's been choking discourse. If you all want me to talk about it, I will. But the point of me bringing it up is, in this specific case on Tumblr, there was a very, very, very popular infographic that showed an anatomical diagram of somebody's, like a single hand on somebody's throat, like pressing in to the veins on the sides of their neck. And it was like a little brief spiel about how, like, with you're choking somebody, you're supposed to like put pressure around their throat and blah, blah, blah. Not just back in my day, but also my back. True, Twixie. I'm lucky in that I don't have a routine back pain. I know that's like very common for a lot of people. I'm hoping that weightlifting kind of keeps me away from some of that. But I did wake up in the middle of the night at like 4 a.m. the other night. And when I woke up, I did something like real fucked up to my shoulder. Like I could feel it like right here. I was like, oh no, fuck it. Have I torn my rotator cuff? It was right before I was about to go camping. It was like Thursday night. And I was like, oh my God, am I going to be able to go camping if I tore my rotator cuff when I woke up in the middle of the night for no reason? And I had kind of like a heavy day at the gym like before that. So I was like, oh, maybe I just like tweaked something because of that. And I like slept on the opposite side, and then I woke up and it was fine. And I was in a lot of pain. I was in a lot of pain when I woke up. I was sure that I had like fucked something up, but I was like too sleepy to do anything about it. So I just moved on. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. Sean has gifted 20 memberships. Thank you. This will give me an opportunity to go and look into your 30s. Yeah, I guess. I just wake up, feel like I've ripped something apart in my body completely, and go back to sleep and wake up and it's fine. Thank you, and welcome to all of the new members. If you are a member of the live streams, the main benefit of that is you can use emotes in the chat, and they're very cute, and they include me and my dog, who was originally not in a camera location when I started streaming, and now she is. So I'm going to turn that on while I'm talking about this. So that is the main benefit of a membership. It's also a good way to support the channel just in general, because monetization in YouTube is always a weird thing. And other than that, this is an 18 plus only live stream. If you are not at least 18, please do not be here because I am too old. I cannot give advice to random teenagers that I am not related to. That is weird. And I do not want to do that, so I don't. Oh, why is it my camera says it's on, and yet... Oh, there we go. I just had to do it twice, apparently. I was like, everything's not working. I haven't used it in so long. It's all falling apart. But it's all good. There we go. There's Smiley Girl. But yes, 18 plus only. If you would like to, you can read the rules and the FAQ down below. Highly recommended, especially if you're new, because we have links to answers for commonly asked questions, as well as some just like communication guidelines for being in the chat. They're really simple. Respect me, respect the mods, be polite to each other, don't spam the chat, and I answer questions in the order they come in. So if you want to make sure to have your question answered, the best way to do that is to put in your question early, and then I will do my best to try to get to it. Of course, now that I set up the camera, the dog has moved into the kitchen and I think is seeking a cooler climate on the fake hardwood floors in the kitchen. So we may not actually see her. It's kind of like trying to go to the zoo and like see the snow leopards at the snow leopard exhibit. Like, you're just going to get a little brief glimpse today, apparently. That's gonna be it for her. She's spending a lot of time in like my closet, in like on the kitchen floor. It's been hot here in Portlandia. But anyways, to have your question answered, ask it early. I'm trying my best to get to it. I also rant sometimes, and we also have people that are lovely here in the chat who also contribute their thoughts, because I don't know everything about everything, nor do I pretend to know everything about everything, and they will contribute their own expertise and perspective, and that's really valuable because, you know, I'm not like a 45-year-old male dom or like any other. I can only be me is the point. I can only be me. Oh my dear, I'm celebrating some anniversary, my 25th birthday. One of my partners made a joke about that. They were like, how old are you turning? You're turning 25. And I'm like, oh yeah, can I just every birthday just be my 25th birthday over and over again? I don't know if I go back to like my 25th birthday. That was like 6 years ago. So that would have been 2019. That would have been the summer before COVID. I don't know if I want to like restart at that point, you know, like so much has changed in the last 6 years that I don't know if I think I had a good time for my birthday that year. I think I had fun. I honestly don't remember any specifics about it. I'd have to go back through like my camera roll and be like, oh, that's what I was doing in the summer of 2019, because I don't remember. I remember like right before, I remember like the holiday season. I don't remember my birthday that year whatsoever, but I think it was good. I think I had a fun time. Oh, the fluff ball. You can see her. Look, rare fluff ball appearance right there. She's on the move. Hi, Bambini. What is it? Oh, you need water. Oh, okay. That's acceptable. That's acceptable. We can have water. Sorry, honey. I didn't realize you needed water. There you go. All right, she needed water. All has been taken care of. All is well. Stream gifts. I'll be listening, but I'm driving to a play party, so I won't be participating tonight. Oh, thank you for letting me know, Sean. Have a fun time at your play party. Good luck, and thank you so much for the stream gifts. You're always so generous. And we will go ahead and move along. Okay, so I think, do I want to continue on the vein with choking, or do I want to get to some questions? I'll get to some questions first, but I can feel the choking dialogue brewing within me, so be prepared. Be prepared for that to happen. Is someone talking about outdoor activities involving park benches? I'm not particularly talking about that. I think outdoor activities are best done in as private a place as possible, and I guess if you know that you have a local park nearby you that's like empty after midnight, that's not routinely monitored by like police on foot or something, you can get up to a little spanking after midnight on a park bench. I feel like that's probably like less risky, definitely less risky than doing it in the middle of the day. Probably the better way of going about it, but you never know like who has a like ring camera that can see into the park, or maybe there's like, maybe it's an area where they try to break up like homeless encampments, or they try to like catch people doing drug deals, or I don't know, and they have, you know, officers on foot that like go through and patrol, and then you won't probably want to be caught being naked in public by the police at 1 a.m. because, you know, that's one of the riskiest things I think people don't consider about public sex especially, but like public nudity in general, and like doing kinky acts in public is, depending on where you live, there's a very real possibility that that kind of activity, if you end up catching an officer having a bad day or under pressure, you may end up on a sex offender registry somewhere. You know, if you're trying to do your like water sports kink at a public park, or you're totally naked, like you just don't, do you want to have that associated with your name? Probably not. I would imagine virtually everybody is like, I definitely do not want to end up on a registry. And that's something to really consider when you're playing in public, and the level of risk that you're taking is that could happen. Is it very likely? Depending on how you do it, probably not. But the risk is almost never zero if you're doing visible, discernible kink in public. Especially if you're doing it in like public, like at a park or on the street or in a store or something like that. Dead of winter, early morning hiking trailhead. If you are brave enough to, like, not even brave enough, I guess, maybe it depends on the weather's like where you're at in the winter, but if you are willing to brave hiking in like the wet, cold season when it's 25 degrees outside and no one else is on that like hiking loop to go see that one waterfall, there you go. That's great. That's perfect. That if you're gonna pick something that's more maintained, like a hiking trail, that's probably the best time of year to do it. Not like a summer afternoon in like end of June. That's probably one of the worst times to do it, you know? So yeah, no, I think that's a great way. I've definitely heard of people getting away with like some pretty wacky stuff like in public, and I'm like, how? Are you sure that, like, no one saw you? Like, no one saw you at all. How is that possible? I don't know. If you're hellbent on doing stuff in a park, use a blanket. Oh, yeah. I mean, I would treat it the same way. Like, if you were doing some kind of, like photo shoot in public, like if you were at a park or like a forest or like around a hiking trail or something, and like let's say you were doing like a cosplay shoot and you wanted to get some like saucy ones in there, or you took your top off or whatever, like you'd have a spotter who would like go and spot for you to see if anyone was like coming up the hiking trail, and then they would come and like put a blanket over you, or like you'd like go grab a jacket and like zip it up real quick. But you'd have some way of being like, are there kayakers coming down the river? Are there hikers coming up the trail? Are there like, you know, some kind of officer of the law on patrol coming this way? Like, can we get into a more decent state very quickly? Like, I think having a spotter is like something that I think kinky people like don't ever really think of using in that context. I think in public dungeon spaces, I definitely see and hear of people who will use spotters for like, maybe they have a really close friend who knows them really well and like helps them when they're playing with new people, like, oh, this is my friend and I watch her scenes because, you know, she trusts me and I'm there to watch to see if like, you know, a safe signal gets missed or something. Or maybe somebody's doing a really risky type of play in a dungeon and then they'd be a DM, or again, a friend will be somebody who's spotting to make sure that people stay away from the relatively risky scene, especially if it involves things like blood. Or they play a role where it's like, okay, we're watching and we're on standby in case something goes wrong because of the elevated level of risk here. Like if we're doing a particularly risky type of suspension or something else that would be above and beyond what people would maybe expect a single top to be able to handle in a situation. But when it comes to playing in public, I think people don't, like, it feels a little like maybe cuckoldy to people to be like, oh, we're going to go to the woods and we're going to have a fun time, but you're just going to like watch out for us and like help us do the thing that we want to do. But I think that actually could be a fun way to support a friend, and hopefully they would do the same thing for you in turn eventually. And yeah, you gotta be careful of this stuff. I had a partner in college who was a major exhibitionist. If anyone needs tips to avoid getting caught, hit me up. I learned a few things dating him. Ooh, illicit advice. for avoiding getting caught places. Yeah. I do wonder how much that's changed, like in, like, you know, as more and more people have like at-home security devices, and obviously everyone has a smartphone. I think just as time has moved on, the risk of getting caught and the potential consequences of doing something in public have escalated so much in the last like 20, 25 years. Whereas if you got caught in like 1998 doing something weird at a park by like somebody who was just walking around, if you were in a part of town where like nobody knew you, like there weren't any like real like consequences for that unless they like called the police on you. Like you don't have to worry about somebody like filming the entire encounter without your knowledge and then posting about you on TikTok, or like it becoming a local news story because somebody like took pictures of you and then like the far right press picked it up and was like, oh my god, look at the freaks who were dressing up like dogs at the bus stop. You know, like that's a whole other level of concern that we did not have like in the 80s and in the 90s. Not to say that maybe the risk of police violence or, you know, becoming a registered sex offender was lower. I'm not sure if that's true or not. But the immediate person-to-person risk of somebody like recording you without your consent, taking photos of you without your consent, somebody recognizing you personally and what you're doing just seems to be so much higher. And also partly because, oh my gosh, okay, so I ran into somebody on Instagram the other day that I was shocked was like, one, a big account, and two, was like openly allowed on Instagram, and like they seemingly had never gotten reported, like nothing had ever like negatively affected their account in any way. And I was like, what is happening? How is that possible? I don't know. And have you guys seen this account? So I blocked them, so I don't even remember what their username was. I was just like, don't show this on my feed ever again. But it was somebody who, I think they're German or maybe Austrian. I didn't inspect too closely. I was confident they were not Dutch. They had to be either German or Austrian, maybe like a German-speaking Swiss person, somewhere in that region of the world, okay? And their entire content of their account, every single reel that they've posted for months and months and months and months, is them in different outfits being handcuffed in public, usually at like a mall. And there were lots of them where they wear like a little mini dress, like it wasn't revealing any, like, you know, it was like Instagram friendly in the sense that it wasn't showing genitals, but like it was like, you know, little tiny mini dresses and, you know, high heels, and then somebody being handcuffed with handcuffs like behind their back, and then like going up into escalators and like walking around the mall. And like on the one hand, okay, so there's so many things happening here. Number one is walking around without direct assistance with handcuffs behind your back is definitely dangerous, because kind of being handcuffed in any combination is dangerous because handcuffs are neither designed to be safe nor comfortable. So that's why people don't love them. I will get to that in a second, Lexi. I see it. I recognize it. Thank you for the super chat. But yeah, so one, walking around in any combination in handcuffs without another person like holding your arm or like being right next to you the entire time is so dangerous, because it only takes like a millisecond of like a wobble, or maybe your high heel breaks, or there's an uneven bit of pavement or God knows what, and you trip and you have no way to catch yourself whatsoever. And like you could like fucking break your face, break teeth. You could really, really seriously permanently injure either like soft tissue injury or like a nerve injury, your shoulders, your hands. Like the risks of wearing handcuffs are multitudinal, and there are many, many instances that we know of just from the general news that prove that handcuffs can be really dangerous for people. So one, seeing that kind of content, there's going to be people who are like, oh, that seems hot, I'm going to try it. Or other content creators who are like, wow, this got 2 million views. I'm going to go to my mall and I'm going to buy some handcuffs. I'm going to go to my mall and I'm going to have my boyfriend film me while I walk around also in handcuffs and like get people's reactions on camera. That was another thing too. A lot of it was like getting people's reactions and being like, oh my gosh, why are people staring at me? A lot of it was in front of kids, which like you could clearly see stuff where like parents were walking with their kids, they'd see what was happening and then they would like turn their kids around and leave. I don't know how they've like gotten away with doing this for like a very, very long time, either in real life or on Instagram without anybody like saying anything about it. I don't know how they're not banned from that mall. It's like kind of shocking. Like also going up and down escalators. I think I maybe said elevators earlier, but escalators. Going up and down escalators while handcuffed without anybody having direct like physical contact on your body, like holding on to you while you're doing that. Even if they're holding you, it's still dangerous, but it's more dangerous to do it completely unassisted. And I was just like, this is like you are putting yourself at a lot of risk, which okay, maybe you don't care and it's all just for content, whatever. But like the fact that this is, you know, it's going viral, they're making this content because it goes viral. There's going to be a lot of people who see this and think it's like a fun thing to try out. And this is like it's public play and like it's, you know, it's kind of similar to like somebody wearing a vibrator in public, like out to dinner at a mall. And like that's kind of icky for similar reasons. But wearing a vibrator in public doesn't put you at risk of like permanent nerve damage or breaking your face. So anyways, I was shocked. I saw this. The first one I saw from them was actually kind of cute. It was them like handcuffed over a ceiling beam in it was actually like, it was kind of like a really I don't know if it was like a sunroom or something. It was a really low roof, but they were handcuffed over a beam and it was them like standing on tiptoes when they were on like vacation with their partner. That was acceptable and I was like cute and fine. I was like, oh, that's cute. And so I went to their content to see what else that they did, and then I realized it was like 80 goddamn reels of just handcuffs at malls, and I was flabbergasted. So anyways, that's apparently a thing that happened. So maybe don't do that, especially filming other people's children in public and then not censoring their faces and then kind of including them in your like public humiliation fetish thing. It's one thing to be into wearing handcuffs. It's one thing to be into public kink. There's ways of playing in public that can be very consensual, and then there's ways where, oh, the thing that you are getting off to when doing this is you like exposing yourself to people for the shock and surprise of making them witness something that they would not expect to see in that kind of setting. And that is when we're approaching like clinical exhibitionism and like maybe some mental healthy stuff. So anyways, don't be that person. And maybe don't, if you're gonna do it, which you probably shouldn't, maybe don't use handcuffs. And I have people in this chat who love handcuffs and like, hey, that's your risk assessment, you do you, fine. But it like, if you're doing unassisted, like just wear regular cuffs. You know, just if you don't like, there's ways to mitigate the risk. It's just, and you know, everything is staged to a certain extent. What we're seeing on social media isn't the full story. So it's possible that maybe like 90% of the time the person who's walking around with handcuffs, their partner is like right there next to them. And, you know, is holding on to them and they're at a relatively low risk for a fall. And then it's like very, very quick snippets when they're being like led to be like walked around of their own free will, and they are going up and down escalators and they're walking around in different parts of the mall. And maybe that's very, very brief. But again, even though it takes a minute, it only takes like a literal half a second to have something that changes your life forever and is like a really devastating injury, and nobody thinks it's going to happen to them until it does. And from what I saw in the comment section of people, like, you know, we get people who are vanilla who will fearmonger, but like, oh my god, how could you? That's so dangerous. And that's not really helpful. But even when people were like, hey, I'm kinky, like, you know, I want to make sure if you know that that's like risky or not, they would like shut down any comment like that. They were not receptive at all to people's genuine concern of like, hey, do you realize the level of risk that you're taking on here? Or have you considered this? Which I think is a legitimate question. I think if you're going to film yourself doing edge play, essentially, and you make your entire body of content that edge play, you are going to have to be okay fielding questions from people who are wondering what your safety protocol is, what your risk assessment is like, and then maybe just like, I don't know, film a little video where for like 2 minutes you explain, here's the behind the scenes, here's what you guys aren't seeing that gets like clipped out of the videos. I understand the risks are like X, Y, and Z. This is our, like, gives people context, and then also so that way when people see this, if they want to copy that content, if they want to do it with a partner themselves, they then have more knowledge that they're not just being kind of like led astray by the TikTok imagery of it all. They're kind of given a little bit of a backstop of like, oh, there's like more here that we're not seeing, because unfortunately people don't have the literacy to like understand oftentimes that what we're seeing is not the full picture of something. So that's a far cry in this case versus like a professional like kink porn photo shoot or recording for adult content where there's all kinds of like camera tricks and things going on there because they're professionals who are doing it, whereas people that are doing it to 15,000 Instagram followers are probably not doing any of that. They're just trying to get the views. Yeah. I'm now sort of curious what the public indecency laws are in Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. I have no idea. I would be very curious too. I guess it must be more lax, which seems unlikely, but I'm not confident. I somehow thought I was going to talk about choking, and I'm talking about handcuffs instead. So hopefully if you've, this trip has been worth the wait. Yes, I'm glad you appreciated it. I was like, the handcuff lovers are going to be down for this conversation. For a moment, I thought that by videos of them in handcuffs, you meant a channel made up entirely of the uploader being handcuffed by the police for various minor crimes. That would make more sense, but no. It's I think I described it earlier. It's like it's a young woman who's probably in her like early to mid 20s, usually wearing like very girly, not like she's not wearing like club wear, but she's wearing like cute little mini dresses and like it would look like what you would wear to like a nice date if you were being a little flirty about it, maybe, let's say. And it's just her handcuffed in public in various ways, being filmed by presumably her partner / boyfriend. This is a tried and true formula. This is the same thing that we see with people who do like Jenna the puppy girl. This is what we see with a lot of people who do like any kind of like public play stuff that they kind of make their brand. Oh God, I'm thinking about Jenna the puppy girl drinking out of a dog water bowl at a restaurant, like at an actual restaurant with people in the background. Wow. You know what? I don't know. Maybe I'm too hard on people who do stuff like that, but the educator in my brain is like, I feel like, especially when there's no education following that up and it's hard to access for people, I feel like leading by example that way is like probably bad, especially when the reason behind it is like your own individual like profit motive. I don't know. And then people like that don't even realize though what they're doing is sex work, and is like they're offended by that idea, which is like a whole other thing. People are like, I make fetish content on the internet for people who have handcuff and like restraint fetishes, but I'm not like I'm a sex worker or anything. Which is another, like, if you're gonna make fetish content for people that are into pet play or handcuffs or latex, like, at least be willing to be like, yes, I make fetish content, I am a sex worker. Like, come on. Evie, last night I dreamt I met you. We took a selfie together. I wasn't planning on meeting you in my dreams. It happened. It was fun. Oh, that's great. Well, you know what? If you go to public events, you might see me somewhere. I don't know how possible taking a selfie will be. Depends on the venue, but the chance is never zero, depending on where you go. I will be going to Thornwood this year in August, which is a brand new, like, Friday through Sunday kinky camping experience that's happening in the Sierra Nevada foothills of Northern California. And I haven't ever been. No one's been. It's the first year. It's so exciting. It also is held at a place that used to be a Christian boarding summer school. Like a summer school, summer camp, educational thing. So I feel like the fact that it's new life is at least in part being a freaky, kinky adventure zone is really satisfying to me. Like, it's not exactly like desecration, because it's not a church, but I think it could be healing for a lot of people that were forced to go to, like, conversion camps or Christian summer camps. And if you had a negative experience of doing that kind of thing as a child, maybe getting to do your kinky, freaky, gay shit at a new place that used to be one of those locations, like, could be fun. So we'll see what ends up happening. But I'm going to be going there. And I'll probably be going to Dark Odyssey Surrender in October in San Jose. So if you can go to either one of those, you might see me. The foothills, indeed. Yes. Yes. The foot is for all the foot lovers. Yeah. Working on those gains in the gym. I'm trying to for a fishing trip. Oh, hey. Well, good luck with that. Kinky camping, I want to go. You can go. There are tickets still available. The price, if you can tent camp, which there are... If you fly either into San Jose or Sacramento, there are places you can rent camping gear. So if you don't have camping stuff or you can't fly with it, there's a way to make that happen. I think there are some lodge rooms available too, but like big rooms, like you'd be sharing with like 6 to 8 random other people, which maybe you don't want. But I think for the ticket price, you get a camping spot and then you bring your camping gear and you show up. You can show up on Thursday or Friday. I love Dark Odyssey events. They are so fun. I think in terms of theme elements... And this is going to be, like, more freewheeling than the hotel events because it doesn't, you don't have to deal with, like, you know, being in a hotel lobby. You know, it's going to be more open than a hotel convention would be, which is one of the reasons why kinky camping is so great. But they're very good with, like, the theme and aesthetic. I'm really curious to see how they have dungeon stuff set up. I do think KinkFest is superior in the dungeon department in terms of number of pieces of equipment. Although with the lack of red carpet at KinkFest last couple of years, it's a lot closer these days. It's a lot closer. I think KinkFest, when it's in full swing and the dungeon is like popping off at like 11:30 at night on like the first night or Saturday. That is a magic, especially when the DJ is really good. I still have some like DJ sets saved from KinkFest that are just like little like memory portal time hole things that I love. If you want to check it out, like, I think it's definitely an expense to travel to that kind of thing. But if you're a kinky person, if you want to play in public, if you like the idea of playing in public, playing in the woods, just getting to do like a summer camp thing or go camping, I've done much smaller versions of something like this before, and I am like off the fucking walls excited about doing this in August. I almost am afraid of building it up too much in my head because of how, like, it's brand new. We don't know how the logistics are going to pan out. We don't know what the weather is going to be like because it is going to be August in California. Like, it could be really smoky and smoggy outside. It could be really, really hot. Hopefully, fingers crossed, it won't be. But it's a magical thing. If you're somebody who, if you are into like camping in general, or you're a burner, or you do any kind of like outdoorsy stuff, I think this is a good way to like combine those kinks. And just like, if you're not into the idea of a hotel convention because it seems like too stuffy and you're like, what would I do in a hotel ballroom? That seems weird. Like, there's a couple on the East Coast, if you're an East Coaster. I've also, though I'm less familiar with this, I think there's at least one big camping event that I think just happened in the Midwest. And I'm sure there's a smattering of other ones in different parts of the country, though it sort of depends if you're in an area where, like, people, like, do camping, right? So, yeah. Any cons you're going to the East Coast, I would love to meet up. I mean, I can't guarantee anything. But potentially next year, like literally all the way next year, because it'll be 4th of July weekend, I would like to try to go to Test Fest this next year. You know, if everything works out, I'd love to go to Test Fest. Never been. I wanted to go for a long time. And I think next year. I would like, so I think that would be a good time to make it happen. We will see, though. I've only been to Dark Odyssey events on the East Coast, but their events are some of the best out this way. Oh yeah, for sure. The East Coast ones, I think, like people actually say that Dark Odyssey Surrender is like the worst one. It's because it used to be the only one that was on the West Coast, and it was a hotel convention, so it got less attention than the bigger camping events. But like, if that's the worst one, like the East Coast camping events have to be fucking spectacular. Although I don't know what the grounds look like for the East Coast events. I've seen photos from them, but I think the grounds for the West Coast event like look a lot better. Like things are going to be different this year because they're still like building up and like kind of changing over the space from its old purpose to its new one. So there's things that will probably be different in future years, but there's like 2 pools. There's a sauna, there's a zip line, there's all kinds of trees, there's multiple different dungeons, there's cabins, there's a lodge, there's tent sites, there's like open greenery, like there's a lot of different areas to go explore and play, and it looks very picturesque. And I've also never been to that part of the country, like basically at all, so I'm also excited just to see it for that reason. But yeah, I can't promise anything about going to Test Fest. That'll all have to be something that gets determined in the future, but that's the plan at the current moment. But yeah, a lot of people really like them. If it's Smokey, you can bring Bandit and have Smokey and the Bandit. Unfortunately, no pets allowed, so she will not be coming with me. But I would love that. That would be a good little joke. Okay, I did see a super chat from Lexi. Oh yeah, there's a sauna. Yeah, it's I think it's like it's by the pool. I'm assuming it's like a cedar infrared sauna. I didn't get the specific details about it. All right, I got something from Lexi. All right, so I'm going to answer this. So I've created an alternate persona to roleplay some darker, more taboo kinks by adopting a different mindset. Any thoughts or experience on this? Okay. Interesting. So I wouldn't say that I have personal experience with like developing a totally different persona that's like separate from myself to explore with things. I kind of am oh, thank you, Absconage. I appreciate that. Thank you. Hi, Evie. We're all still super cooked for putting on this year's Test Fest, but I floated your name for presenting next year. Thank you. I did send an email with, like, my class list and stuff, so we'll see how that works out. I mostly just want to know when I should think about applying and, like, you know, just how to keep abreast of that information. But, yeah, the way that I handle my kink is I have about a zillion different things that I do in a bunch of different roles, and I kind of just have them all coexist in my brain simultaneously, and it like more or less works out. But I think it is helpful for people, especially if you're in a live-in relationship where you have one or maybe a few very particular roles that you're kind of set into. It can be a lot harder to then transition from that to something else, and I think that's one of the benefits of having like a way to put on different hats and then know what you're doing. So I would imagine, based on what I've heard works for other people, I imagine something that would be helpful is like practicing doing this like outside of the house or whatever environment you're like normally used to being seen in one role in. So if you're, you know, if you go to one dungeon party and everyone always knows you at that place as like, oh, you're like so-and-so submissive or whatever. If you can go to like a different dungeon or a different party where maybe you're going to like the femdom night or you're going to the edge players night, something you wouldn't typically go to, where you can kind of like be your new self in a different space. I think that's a good way to sort of have a cognitive break from your more default role. I think doing different things with your like wardrobe, hair, makeup, anything that can kind of aesthetically change your appearance, especially things like masks or hoods or other like facial coverings to kind of give you something to sink into. And then I'm actually curious, I might look at like pro-dom resources for this, because obviously different people approach pro-dom work differently. Some people, when they're pro-doming, they just are their dominant self in the way that they would be in like a private relationship, and there's not really that much difference. But when you are working at something, there is always an element of performance. Like I'm performing right now and I'm like live streaming, and this is pretty casual, but I'm still like, I'm speaking differently than I would if I was talking to a partner or to my dog, right? I am answering things in a different way than I would if I was in a casual conversation. Like, roles are just a thing that are something you do. So creating a new space for a role. I imagine there's quite a bit of like femdom information about like kind of creating a container for who your dominant persona is. And I think even if you're not getting into a dom role, I think that could still very largely be transferable into whatever kind of like other alternate persona you're creating. Yeah, I've always been the same way, but what I've been doing lately just didn't feel right unless I could approach it totally differently than the normal me would. Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's a different aesthetic for Dark Lexi compared... I just used to think of Dark Branded, and I'm so sorry, but I just used to think of Dark Lexi, Dark Branded memes. Fun times. For sure, it's a performance, but it's a natural feeling transformation for me. And I think that's, like... There's a point, right, where, like, I think in kind of any kink, and maybe it's hard to remember when we very first started, but most of the time there's some element of performance at the very beginning of what we're doing, and then as we gain comfort and confidence with what we're doing, it becomes less of a performance. We can really sink into the role until kind of the role and us are merged, and we're doing things so authentically that we kind of forget that we originally put on a little bit of a persona to just kind of like get there. Like the efforts with like costuming and self-expression and going to different places and things like that, like it's starting the engine. It's starting the engine on your lawnmower, I suppose. And then once you get rolling, I think if it feels right, it sounds like you're following it in a way that's natural, it's gonna just kind of keep going, and it won't need that same level of effort, because you'll kind of get this like new pathway worn in of like, here's this other option. You're like chopping through the forest right now, right? You have one very clear path that you've spent a lot of time on, and now you're blazing a new trail. You gotta chop down the trees and get rid of the big bushes and the logs and everything. And then once you've kind of done all that like brunt of the work, the maintenance of the trail becomes a lot easier, and it'll be a lot more natural to follow it down. Yeah. I imagine Dark Lexi has some Maleficent level cunty makeup, eyeliner sharp enough to cut. Oh, for sure. Gotta have the big eyeliner. Gotta have the big false lashes, for sure. Oh, like Dark Phoenix. Yeah, that too. Less familiar with that personally. Not really a comic book X-Men person. All right, I'm going to put the fan on myself for a minute because it's hot and I'm sticking to my chair and I don't like it. So anyways, hopefully that helps you out a little bit. But I think it's a really good thing for people to do. I know people do this in like relationships where they have like maybe very mentally distinct roles between like slave and little and pet, and they usually develop some kind of protocol for like terminology they use, clothing they wear, collar they use to kind of cue them into different headspaces, and then also like tell their partner like what role they feel like being in at that time, and vice versa too, right? Like if their partner brings out a certain collar, that kind of cues, okay, now we're gonna go into like this different mode. Yeah. Oh, welcome, John. Thank you. Glad you can make it. Ask any questions if you have them. Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, the Dark Lexi is also kind of more unhinged than normal me, so if anything, she's more like me expressing some deeper instincts and removing inhibitions. I mean, yeah, sounds like a really fun journey, kind of in the parlance of woo-woo, you know, exploring your shadow self a little bit, getting out things that normally you wouldn't necessarily get to. And I feel like a little bit, I'm like, I don't know if I'm in like a similar place in my kink journey necessarily, but there's definitely like, especially with sadism and elements that I don't typically play with very often, like that's kind of been coming out a lot more, and I have like a way deeper understanding in the last like year or two of like what my like sadistic persona looks like, and like what that feels like, and how I want to manifest, and how my partners to feel about me. Whereas before it was kind of like vaguely sort of like, I like throwing people under the bus, and I didn't really go a whole lot deeper than that. But in the last year or so, I've really explored a lot what that looks like, and it's been like I haven't necessarily like consciously made a different container for it, but I think it's a similar exploration of like, oh, I've kind of gone all the way down this pathway that I was going down, and now here's this kind of other kind of trailhead. I've sort of started, but I haven't really fully kind of chopped down that pathway yet. And I'm curious to see where it goes, and now I've cleared it out a bit. It's becoming a little bit more obvious, yeah. I think that is def errant, and I think that def makes a lot of sense, having the long-standing relationship. I feel that it's been an interesting evolution, like branched path in a video game. Haha. Yeah, you went all the way through the video game, like the first time around you completed it, you beat it, and then you're like, what if I just picked like a different like starting class for my character this time? What if those decisions I made were like I had to choose between like two people living or dying, or I had to choose which faction to side with? You know, maybe I choose the opposite now, and I'm seeing where that leads me. Yeah, for sure. And I think that's really rewarding. I think it's, kink is always a journey of self-exploration, and no matter what you do, no matter how long you're in the scene, some people find their one thing immediately and they're like, I'm a spanker and I love spanking and I'm a spanko and that's all I want to do is spank all the long day. And if that's you, that's great. But for a lot of people, there's sort of endless permutations that could be explored, little things that could be revisited, because even the same kink 5, 10, 20 years apart, your way of doing that kink based on your more recent life experiences, the things you've had practice with, the partnerships you're in at that time versus before, it's all going to make either really subtle or really big changes to how you actually do things. It's kinky New Game Plus. Exactly. Okay. Well, good luck with that, Lexi. That sounds really exciting. Keep us updated and, yeah, sounds like a fun time. We love self-exploration because I think it's so easy for people to pigeonhole themselves and get kind of stuck in one area and not feel like they have permission to move on to different kinks because, but I'm the person who does this, or I'm the sub who's always that way. Like, that's like, I just feel so sad. I just feel so sad that that's like how some people feel like they have to be forever because one time 10 years ago they decided what their role was and now it can never ever change. Like, sometimes we find things that are really satisfying and sometimes we're always finding new things that are interesting to explore with. Something that one of my partners say that I don't think they would mind if I shared this is just like a phrase they say. It's one thing they like to say a lot, and I'm sure they got this from somewhere else. I don't think this is an original term, but it's a nice sentiment, is love, it's something to the effect of like, you have to remake love all the time. You have to like reinvent love all the time. Like, it's always new. You always have to make love new. And I think for some people, they have like one recipe and they're like, this is how it works and I make it every day and it works for me. And other people, there's always a little tweak, a little evolution, a little different spice, different proving time. Maybe you're using rye instead of cracked wheat or whatever. I don't know how people make bread. And you're just making it different, a little bit at a time. And that reinvention, I think, if you are somebody that has kind of a very multifaceted inner world, the flexibility to pursue kind of what feels right in the moment, I think is really helpful. And I think where people, like, oftentimes I think it can lead to burnout if people feel really stuck in one place and they don't give themselves permission to explore. But that's my 2 cents. You got to give yourself permission. Sometimes you have to have your partner give you permission to give yourself permission. You have to hack it, but even that still works. It's interesting to me that people can slip into such different roles. I'm pretty much always just me, maybe with the volume turned up or down. Yeah, I mean, it's like, well, like you say that, but then the way that I would think about it is like, I'm always me. I'm just expressing elements of me in different ways. Like, I am primal and I'm also a pet player, but those aren't necessarily entirely like separate things. Like, they're both me, but they like there's a difference between cute house dog Pomeranian Evie and like snarling animal Evie, but they're not like totally divorced in my head either. There's not a wall there. It's more like a, I don't know, like a sheer bead curtain, like you can see through it. It's porous. There's not a firm boundary. And I always feel like this is why I actually don't identify with the term switch, and like why I don't generally call myself a switch is I don't ever feel like I'm going between different things. Like, when I'm a sadist. I'm a sadist all of the time. Oh no, my stream, it's dropping. Oh no, we've dropped. Oh dear. Can people still see me? We've had an internet connection disruption. I think we're back. Okay. I don't think it actually disconnected me. We basically went to like transmitting no frames whatsoever for like 2 seconds. And I was like, oh, I'm going to have to restart the stream. Oh no. But I think I lived. I'm seeing new chats coming in, so I think I'm okay. But yeah, I don't identify with the term switch because when I am a sadist, I'm a sadist all the time. Like, it's not even when, just I am, that's always there. And when I'm bottoming for someone, or I'm with my partners, and they're, like, doing things to me, like, there's an undercurrent of, like, I kind of want to, like, fight them, and I still enjoy inflicting pain back at them. I still enjoy, like, giving intense, like, it doesn't have to be pain necessarily, but, like, intense tactile feedback. And that's something that I do in my scenes, like, even if it's not sadistic at all, and I'm just, like touching my partner back, or I'm grabbing onto them. Maybe sometimes I'm, like, biting, or I'm using claws. It doesn't have to be that, but it's like, hey, I'm here, I'm squeezing onto you. That's, like, a little bit of my sadist coming out when I do that. And it can go all the way from sort of, like, loving, firm touch when I'm bottoming, all the way over into just outright, like, business time, you know? Like, I don't know how to say it, like, I don't know, like trampling on someone. Like, it can go, but it's coming out in little different ways. It's like, if you have a shower head that has 10, this is the weirdest analogy I think I've ever made in a live stream. If you have a shower head that has 10 different settings on it, right? You've got, like, the jet setting, you've got, like, the rainfall setting, you've got the one that has, like, the weird spiral pattern, you've got, like, 10 different ways for the water to come out of the shower head. It's still the same water going into the shower head. It's just coming out in different ways. And sometimes it's really soft and gentle, and sometimes it could flay your skin off. You know, like, some people like that setting on a shower head, and I don't understand it. If you are somebody who likes intense exfoliating shower pressure, explain why to me. I need to know. Oh gosh, yeah. Okay, great. It seems like I got a warning that popped up. Oh, now, there it is. Yeah. Yeah, stream's bitrate slower than the recommended one. Whatever. Okay. Nothing I can do about it while I'm live. Stone Age wolf domestication, Evie. Oh my god. Now I'm gonna have to tell. I'm gonna tell one of my partners about this and be like, hey, so I have an idea I got for my live stream for a scene that we can do. I don't normally get ideas for scenes, so that's exciting for me. But I don't know if they'd want to be a caveman necessarily, but I think they'd be down for, like, capturing, taming the wolf kind of thing, which I don't even necessarily, like, strictly identify as, like, a wolf when I do, like, primal play stuff. I think that's, like, probably one of the core animals in the mix, but I also, like hiss a lot. But in a way that I sort of see as, like, kind of a snaky way. Like, there's, like, it's like 80% canine, 10% snake, 10%, I don't even know yet. I haven't figured that part out yet. We're still exploring it. Like, it's not, like, I know some people, like, and maybe I used to be this way a long time ago, like, really strictly identify with, like, here's the animal I am, like, in my primal play headspace. And I think there's, like, I feel like canines in general are probably more my ballpark versus, say, like, big cats or, like, dinosaurs or something. But I don't, like, I don't know, I just, like, the longer I'm around at my big age, I just care less about labels. I'm like, I'm primal, I'm not gonna get into what specific animal, I'm queer, I don't need a specific label beyond that. Like, just let it be whatever, you know? Just let it be whatever. It's like masochism, but it cleans you. It's like a diluted sadism tonic. Okay, fair. I just feel like my poor tender skin could not handle that. It would just be, I like a good, don't get me wrong, I love using a good exfoliating Japanese towel in the shower. That's my standby. I love it. I live by it. It's great. But the straight, like, sheer shower pressure is, like, I get nothing out of that. But I also am a scratchy sensation person, so maybe that's just, you know, it's more my speed. More my speed for sure. More shower pressure makes me feel cleaner. I know that's not true, but that's, but I feel that way. Oh, like, psychologically, it's like it's blasting the germs off my body. Or the dirt or whatever, I guess. I can picture that. That makes sense. Yeah. I know some people people are real picky about like shower pressure, and they're like, oh, I can't rent this apartment because I tested the shower pressure and it's too low. And I'm like, unless it's dribbling out of the faucet and that's it, like I don't notice. I adjust to whatever shower pressure is directed my way, honestly. All right, okay. Let's get to hello, welcome. Okay, so let's get into some more questions. Thank you everyone for explaining the shower thing. Although very funnily, I'm now at a part in the chat where somebody was just talking about having taken a shower. So I don't know if that was like subconsciously in my brain somewhere. Oh, we're under a severe weather watch right now, so I might have to leave abruptly at some point. Oh, well, good luck. Hopefully nothing happens. That would be really annoying at minimum. Popcorn does sound good. I did that. I think that the sword has double battle axe blades for maximum slashing damage. Oh, yeah. On the shirt design. Yeah, no, that's really cool. It's like, who needs a cross guard? You can just have an axe, you know? Just like more weapons on one device. My birthday was July 9th. Oh, happy belated birthday. I've been finding a lot of my fave creators are also cancers. There's so many of us. So many cancers make content. I feel like it's cancers and then like, I don't even know. What is the other like most popular like birthday month for content creators? I don't know. Is there a correlation, I wonder? There might be. Not necessarily with astrology, maybe just like with birthday, like relative, something to do with like when you start with school relative to your age in months or something. I don't know. Kind of want a couple tattoos, but I have none so far, so the need is not there, kind of. And I have heard of the tattoo curse once you start, I mean, I definitely went into the idea of getting tattoos with like, I was never the kind of person where I was just like, I just want like one little like dainty tattoo like right here. Like if that's you, okay. Like I know some people just want like, maybe they want like a meaningful phrase or like a line from a poem or a song, and that's it. And they're good. They're done. All right. Or they want a little heart or whatever. But I never wanted to just like piecemeal random tattoos from like different people over the years. Like I got a lot of plans for future tattoos, and I definitely want something that's cohesive from the same artist, like that all flows together and is not just little random bits. So I am aware of sort of the idea that you always want more, and I really like where my tattoo work is at right now, but it's like I have a plan. Like I don't think I'm gonna get done with the things I have pictured in my head and then just be like, well, can I just like get more because I want to have another one? Like I think I'm gonna be satisfied. Like I could even, if I had to stop here for like a year or two, I would be fine with it. It would be a-okay. I know a lot of Geminis who make content. True. Geminis do like a chatting. They do like the gab. Actually, I have a lot of Gemini in my chart, so that sort of explains a lot, honestly. I'm a Gemini moon. I think I'm a Gemini Mars. I think it might be a Gemini Mercury as well. Some combination of that. Got a lot of Gemini in there. It's basically Gemini, Virgo, and Scorpio in there. That's like, there you go. That's like 9. And then that's basically just to make an assessment based on that, you know? The Guardian piece about choking was all over my Blue Sky last week. Oh, was it? I'm very curious what the Blue Sky reaction to the choking article was. So there was, if you guys didn't see it, there was an article from The Guardian that was going over some research about choking. A lot of it we've actually already covered before on my channel in previous videos. But either alongside that or with the article, there was another like paper that got published that I think Debbie Herbenik was technically a part of, though she was not a lead author. She was like the last, she was the last name on the list. I think it was like lead authored by somebody else. I realized Debbie was no longer on Twitter, so I couldn't go check to see if she had any thoughts about it. But one of the things that they had looked at as they were looking at, I think it was like brain biomarkers for people that had experienced choking. But it was really weird, like that 5 biomarkers only found differences in one of the biomarkers, but that one biomarker could also be activated by like a bunch of different things like stress. And they also didn't necessarily have any like like apparently the elevation of that biomarker is like relatively like time dependent. Like if you've done an activity, like that biomarker will be elevated like hours later, not like weeks later. And so if you're studying a group of like 50 people and you've asked them if they've ever been choked, and like their last incident of choking could have been anywhere between like 2 hours before the study to like 6 months before that, plus the frequency of choking in that set of data like might also be really different. Like some people might do choking every single time they have sex, or they might have done it like once for a birthday thing, and you're kind of putting all those people in the same category. It just seemed like it wasn't a really great study design and didn't really have a lot of strong conclusions. But I do remember one big thing from the article was like they said something about like choking could be like the leading cause of stroke for women under the age of 40, and I did want to investigate it a little bit more because it obviously is really concerning. But I have questions that I would like to ask a doctor, like a researcher, a medical doctor, because I don't understand like what the biomechanical differences are and how people respond to choking in different settings. There is evidence that choking could be causing damage and like can lead to harm for people that do MMA and BJJ, and there are people that are like trying to look into that more, but the risk is like it doesn't seem to be like that acute and that high. Like we're not having an epidemic of people like having strokes in their BJJ class, and it's now a widespread enough sport to where if that was like an immediate acute thing, we'd probably be seeing it a lot more. And we're like, it can happen, especially if like you can have an arterial artery dissection doing BJJ chokes, and it seems like a gi choke is the one that seems to cause the most issues for people and like case studies about this. But like it's so hard to know. We just don't have like really good like fine-grained research about what the causative things are. But like what's the difference between somebody doing like recreational choking and BJJ stuff and like pearl divers that like can hold their breath for like minutes at a time? Because a lot of people will say, oh well, the damage from choking comes from a lack of oxygen going to your brain. Well, if my partner chokes me for 2 seconds, is that different? Is that worse or better even from a pearl diver who's holding their breath for like consecutive minutes ongoing the entire time? And is it like once is fine, 10 times is fine, 100 times is fine, and then like the 101st time is like where things go wrong? And I'm curious about this because we've been seeing in other areas of kink that there is elevated risk of damage from like repeated injuries they can be mild, and they might even be something that you might visually notice, but there can be injuries that accrue over time because of cumulative tissue damage. So, for example, this is like what like leather butt is. So if you heard of like leather butt before, it's something that happens to people that do impact play. Usually that's more intense over the same part of the body for a long period of time, and it literally causes textural changes to the surface of the skin, and it like deadens the nerves is what people will say. And to some extent it can be reversible, but that is long-term damage happening to your body. It has a cute name associated with it, and it's maybe not like gonna impact your ability to do labor, but it is still something that is a change in your body because kink that accrued over time. Similarly with things like nerve damage and bondage, like we could be seeing a difference between acute nerve injuries and injuries that are coming from repetitive damage from doing the same tie, loaded the same way, over and over and over and over again. Because y'all know there are bottoms who do rope bondage, who do the same chest harness 5-6 times a week for years and years on end, to the point that they have like basically like scars over parts of their arms or different parts of their body from where that rope has been in the same place so many times. And I think that like repetitive injuries in human beings are like, it's like, that seems like that's a thing that would happen. Like our bodies kind of just wear out if you do the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Like I can't imagine our blood vessels are that much different than like other parts of our body in this regard, but I don't know, and nobody does. We don't know. We don't have any answers for it yet, but it is interesting stuff to think about, and something that we do, I think, need to investigate. Oh no, somebody was explicitly transphobic. What happened? I didn't realize there was evidence she was explicitly a transphobe, but based on the anti-kink and porn Reddit, and least surprising thing also. Oh no, I didn't see who that was. Who are we talking about? I missed. Who's the transphobe? I have a mark on my finger due to crochet of all things. So that can leave a mark. Anything can, yeah. If you can get a mark from crochet, anything is possible. Mm-hmm. Someone crafty could use water pressure as a kind of masochism. Oh, yeah. I'm sure people do. I mean, people do that for, like, prison roleplay. People will do, like, I'm going to hose you down and then use, like, kind of higher pressure, like, water to, you know, blast their partner before they throw them in a jail cell. Like, it's not a common kind of roleplay because can you bring out the giant hose in the middle of the public dungeon? Usually not. Maybe sometimes. If it's outdoors. Got an outdoor area. Could do. But most of the time, it's not going to happen. So it's possible. Maybe people can make devices for it. Maybe like a shower head attachment that's like, I mean, some of the shower heads you can already buy at the store can get pretty sadomasochistic. So I don't even really know if we need to make any changes on that one. Oh, the author of the choking article. Oh, for The Guardian. Well, it is from The Guardian, so I'm not shocked. And like, there is the group of British feminists who are TERFs and anti-kink is like virtually a circle. So that, yeah, you're right. That's not surprising at all. Yeah. So sensationalist, study author. Maybe if she is like if she's openly anti-kink and transphobic, maybe it is a good idea to like talk about the articles, because I don't think people don't look at journalists enough when they're like assessing, especially if you're looking at a study directly, that's one thing. But if you're looking at somebody's article, making inferences from the results of studies and pontificating about that, being aware of the biases of the publication, of the journalist, of their editor is important, because like journalism is not just like reporting the freaking weather, you know, and just like saying today it's going to be 75 degrees with a 20% chance of blah, blah, blah. Like, no. There's almost always some angle, either for ill or for good, in what the journalist is putting into the work. So I think having that as like an analysis is worth looking at, yeah. Feminist, yeah, feminist is probably funded by Christian anti-abortion groups, dark money. Yeah. Well, yeah. At this point, though, I'm surprised when an author from Turf Island isn't a transphobe. Yeah, apparently you have to be transphobic to get into the journalism business over there. If you find a hose and enough bottoms, you can recreate the opening scene of Female Prisoner Scorpion. I have no idea what that is, and it's maybe good that I don't know what that is. The rabbit hole goes deep on that, but most gender-critical TERFs are literally a right-wing psyop, and I do have receipts. I am not shocked at all, especially coming from the UK. Yeah. Because almost all of them are very low on the feminism, very high on the anti-trans part of that experience. Like, the extent of their feminism is basically to be like, but protect the women, which is what far-right people also love to say about things like women shouldn't be allowed to work outside the home because it makes their husbands go astray. And so to protect the women, we should not allow them to leave the house. I've never seen a Godzilla movie before. Like, even the modern ones. I've never seen any of the Godzilla movies. Should I? Are any of them worth watching? And am I missing out on like a legendary part of cinema by not watching Godzilla? That's like the most random question I've ever been asked. I've watched 80s anime before. I've never seen Godzilla. Mandini, what are you doing, sweetie? Can I capture your beauty on camera? You're being so silly right now, honey buns. Look at the baby. Uh-oh. Hi, baby girl. What are we doing, sweetie? Hi. Do we need attention? Do we need attention? Aw. Do we need love? Aw. Oh, girl. You were doing your please love me dance. You love me. Yeah. You tried to eat a bug today. I didn't let you. Are you mad? I didn't let you eat the bug. Oh no, I'm the worst. Look at this. Look at this dog. Look at her. Look at the dog. Look at her. I love her so much. I'm missing on the classics right there. All right, I have to find, somebody's written a list of like definitive best Godzilla movies ranked, and it's going to be filled with ads, and I'm going to go look it up, and I'm going to find out which single Godzilla movie is worth watching. -1 is definitely worth watching. Is that a Godzilla movie? You're missing out on Godzilla Jr.? You're not missing anything. Okay, what if I watched Red Letter Media watch a Godzilla movie? Would that count? Somebody's B movie starring Meiko Kaji playing a kick-ass escaped prisoner. Oh, okay. Interesting. To say nothing of the parallels between transphobia and racial paranoia. Oh, about SA. Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of that, too. The Turf Island people, they love making articles about one time there was one person who probably wasn't even actually trans, but just lied about it on a document once. Committed a grave crime, which means all trans people are a danger to society. What we should do about that? Don't ask us the details. You're not going to like it. Hello, baby. Do you want to help me answer questions? Does anyone have a question for Bandit? Does anyone have a question for my dog? That would be exciting. She's disappeared, but she's still here to listen to all of your questions. I would love to have sort of like a 1980s setup where it's like it's like a late night TV program where it's like, call in now to have a psychic answer your questions, but it's just my dog. She's pretty good though. She's good at keeping secrets. I'll tell you that much. Question. Is it BDSM when a Twitch streamer does something unpleasant for reaching a sub goal? I'm gonna say no, because I think that kink requires a level of intentionality. I think you can accidentally stumble into kink and like kind of reverse engineer create it again without like knowing anything about the community or the terms we use. And I would call it like proto kink, but I think there's lots of communities and spaces where people intentionally suffer that don't necessarily have anything to do with kink, be it like ultra marathon runners or people who do like competitive like hot wing eating contests, or people who do anything that like pushes the extremes of the human body, or people who do like hook pulls, or even like certain types of tattooing or scarification. I don't know how serious this question is, but I'm gonna say sometimes maybe it could be. But I'm going to guess most of the time, it's just like people like it when other human beings suffer. And it's taking advantage of the, I'm going to mispronounce it, but the like Schadenfreude of, the joy you get from somebody else's suffering. And that people like it when streamers do things that make them uncomfortable, like you shave their heads or have to do 100 push-ups or something. The days surrounding your birthday, so they were a complete catastrophe. Potential torn rotator cuff and sick after. Yeah, I thought I tore my rotator cuff. I was on my period. I had a good birthday, and then I immediately came home, started my period again, and then got strep throat. It was like literally the day after I got back in the morning, and I thought originally I was just like, oh, we just need more aftercare. I'm just really sore. And then I was like, oh no, my throat is sore. That's not normally part of this. That's not normally included. And then I went to the urgent care, and then I was like, they did a rapid test. Like, yep, you got strep throat. And I was like, give me the antibiotics, doc. And they gave me some penicillin, and here I am. But it was like 2-3 days of like, it was real bad. I was like falling asleep at like 9 p.m., which is not normal for me at all. I was real sick. It's actually shocking that it was only a couple days ago. Actually, I can feel my voice kind of going out a little bit right now. It's getting a little raspy. But I also did grab my water bottle before I started the stream, so that's probably part of it. She has definitely stolen over 100 hearts, for sure. She howls in her sleep. That's basically it. She'll do like a little like closed mouth kind of howl. I don't even know how to recreate it. It's like... ooh, like almost like that kind of noise. Ooh. Like, she only ever, yeah, that was me. I was doing that, yeah. You do it in your sleep too, but you probably don't even know. You're so good you don't ever really bark. Except for when I come home and you're excited because you think you're going to get a treat because I came home. Then you bark a little bit. But otherwise, you're very quiet. How many crimes have you committed? In what jurisdictions? And how much is your bounty? Well, let's just say she's not allowed across the Canadian border anymore. Let's just leave it at that. Does Beta get confused about your puppy play? Sometimes. If I'm wearing a mask. If I'm wearing something that covers either the whole or part of my face, especially if it kind of changes if I'm wearing like a bag or like a hood over my head, that doesn't seem to bother her too much. But if I have a mask that like changes the profile of my face, like if I'm wearing a puppy hood or like a muzzle or something, that freaks her out. And then she's like, it's better these days, but like when I first got her and the first time she saw me in one of those, she literally like cowered in the corner. She was terrified. She was like, oh my god, what is that? Oh my god, I don't like it. But also she doesn't really like statues either. Like, I actually have a little Pomeranian statue I got from like an old lady neighbor I have who was like, do you want my Pomeranian stuff? And I was like, sure. And it took a while for her to adjust to the Pomeranian statue. She was like, I don't know about that. It's kind of shaped like an animal, but it doesn't move like an animal. It doesn't smell like one. I don't trust it. And you know what? Reasonable. I believe it. It's reasonable. It's kind of like what a baby hummingbird sounds like. Do you speak French or want to visit France? What do you think? I don't know if you'd like France, honey. Where would you like to go? Where would you like to travel the most in the whole world? What would your favorite place to visit be? If I was going to make a Bandita paradise, what would it look like? Well, it would definitely have to have lots of little creatures. Not big creatures, little creatures. So it'd have to have squirrels. It'd have to have bunnies. Maybe some cats. Cats would be good. Little chipmunks. Maybe a couple of birds in there. Yeah, something that's got all those in them. Yeah. And probably some cheese. And probably some nice snacks, kind of just around. And like a little bit warm, but not too warm. Lots of shady spots, lots of nice grass. So kind of wherever that kind of place is at is probably where we'd like to be the best. Yeah. That's probably where we'd like to be the best. But she does not speak French. I don't think she even speaks English. She does not like the big scary dogs, no. She's like, it's a big scary. I do not like it. I do not trust it. Do not make me go there, mother. No, no, no. She's affected by the uncanny valley too. Fascinating. I think it's common for animals. Like, they don't know that like the snake-shaped thing isn't a snake, but they're gonna act like it could be a snake. It's the same principle that makes it so like if you have like a dummy owl in your garden, it like wards off mice from like getting into your garden because they don't know that the giant wooden owl is a wooden owl. It could be real. Yeah. I think she likes to hunt bugs inside. I think if she was outside, she would like it much better if you could please let her chase all of the squirrels and little bunnies. If you could, and then maybe I could cuddle with a kitty afterwards. Maybe we could have some kitty snuggles, and then we could chase some little squirrels together, and then it would be so much fun. Yeah. You have murder in your heart. You do. You are a killer. This is the skin of a killer, Bella. This is the skin of a killer, I tell you. Have you thought about doing a video on international BDSM? I am not sure what I would say if I made a video about it, but I'm not going to say I would never make it. Maybe I will find inspiration for that topic at some point. How do you find your love for pain again? Pain for yourself and others? Like, as in, you've lost the love for it and you don't know how to get back to it? I think it's about, like, being... okay, this is how I would do it. This is kind of maybe more scientific than, like feelings based, but it's kind of like the intersection of both. All right, so this is what I would do. I'm trying to find my love for pain again. I would just throw out all of my preconceived expectations about what I think I like or what I think I don't like, and then I would just iteratively try as many different things as possible and just keep track of what makes a little spark happen. Don't have to love it, doesn't have to be your favorite thing, but just like a scale of 1 to 10, be like, I hate it, I never want to do it again, to like, that was a maybe, so like that felt pretty good, to like, that was amazing. And just go through, try as many things as possible, and if you find a couple where there's at least a little spark of like, ooh, I could want more of that, I could do more with that, go there, revisit them, do them for longer, explore those things more, whether it's like a specific type of pain or an instrument you're using or like a part of the body or anything like that. And then just creating like positive, no pressure experiences around them. Like the point of doing that isn't to like, you have to find the thing you're gonna like or else. Like don't put pressure on it. It's like with sex, it's like with relationships. If you put a lot of pressure on it, it will ruin it. Go with the flow, be surprised about it, allow whatever experiences happen to unfold. Like, this is life-changing. I think a lot of people get in the way of themselves, like kink-wise and sexually, by sort of expecting a certain outcome at the end of the experience or expecting to feel a certain way, and then when it doesn't happen, they're really disappointed. Like, honestly, like the best outcome, whether it's with like having an orgasm during sex or getting into subspace, like trying to make those things happen can make it harder to happen. I mean, there's sort of like, there's like intentionality of like, I'm doing the kinds of things I know that can lead me to that place. There's a difference between that kind of intentionality of like, I'm cultivating a space to make that possible versus I'm pressuring myself mentally to get there. And if you're pressuring yourself mentally to get there, it won't happen. Like, ideally, if you're doing it right, it should kind of like sneak up on you. It should kind of be like, oh, this is a surprise that's happened. Like, I was playing with one of my partners for my birthday, and like one of them made the remark that like I always have this reaction, like I'm surprised that they're like doing something to me, and I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, I'm just sort of like letting whatever happen, so I guess I am a little bit surprised. I thought it was really funny, and I was like, I guess I do act that way, but it's because I'm acting, I'm so in the moment that I'm not like letting my brain get ahead of me to expect like what should happen next or what I'm supposed to feel next. And so everything does feel sort of surprising because I'm just sort of allowing myself to totally exist in that moment. And like, that's, I think, sort of the key. If you can find a way to allow yourself to be in the moment as opposed to thinking about what should happen in the future, that's always good. And then just really, really being authentic with what, sorry, now I have dog hair in my mouth. And one of the perils of talking and also petting a dog that's shedding because it's the summertime. Okay, thanks, puppy. I love all your little hairs. Yeah, she wagged her tail when I said thank you. Yeah, honey, you're very welcome. She's now hiding her head under my desk because that's what she does. She's like a bunny rabbit. Though she would hunt the bunnies and eat them if she could. But that's life. Sometimes I go, yeah, I know, I talked about you. I was talking about you, sweetie pie. Yeah, but getting totally in the moment, going with the flow, and just being authentic with yourself about what am I really enjoying right now, and not feeling like you should like certain things or shouldn't like certain things, or if you like things that are like weird or different, like that's okay. It's there for every type of pain out there. There is somebody where like that is their thing, like whether it's electroplay or tickling or Wartenberg wheels, or whips, or floggers, it doesn't matter. There's gonna be somebody out there who's like, hell yeah, that's also my thing. Bandita didn't answer my question. Oh no. Can you repeat it and I will ask it to her? Do you feel like there's enough quality psychological research on BDSM? No. I think that we're steering towards more, but we have a real lack of, like, sort of right where we're at right now, like studying BDSM psychologically, is we've like basically only established that people who are into BDSM are not like any more mentally unwell than anybody else. Like, that's sort of, we're there. I think there have been some studies that have looked at like big 5 personality traits and correlations with different BDSM roles, and that's that's about it. That's where we're at. We're at the very bare bones basics, and I would love to have more like longitudinal data about like mental health outcomes for like long-term BDSM participation, or research into like BDSM relationships and like in like conflict resolution and things like that. I think all that could be really, really helpful, just to name a couple from the top of my head. What bug did you try to eat? It was a moth. There was a little baby moth. It was like this big. It was in the house, and then I caught it in a Tupperware and I released it outside. And she was like, okay with that. She's gotten a fly before a couple times. Like, I've seen her eat like a big old housefly a couple times. It's very gross. And listen, she never said that she was a refined girl. She is a country girl at heart, I will tell you what. Her favorite treat? What is your? Probably cottage cheese. Probably cottage, because that's like, it's the most rare and also the highest value. And I think like cheese and chicken, she at least gets occasionally from like my parents, but cottage cheese is like, that's a real special one. She goes like cuckoo banana for cottage cheese, like wild-eyed for cottage cheese, and it's so funny. And I don't know why she loves it so much. It's bizarre. Yeah. But yeah, I would love to see more research on kink in general. Okay, more questions. Keep them coming, folks. I say that like I'm like a line cook or something. Keep going on the grill. Man, now I want pancakes. Oh, damn it. Okay. Read some things about the Czech Republic that made it sound kink friendly there, but not sure about parts of the country. I did it a long time ago. I had a partner who went on a, like, God, this is probably 8-9 years ago. I had a partner that went on a trip to go visit a long distance partner of theirs in Europe, and I'm pretty sure that they went to, they were on the east coast of Italy, and then they went to Croatia and the Czech Republic, and they kind of did like a wheel around. They ended up, I think, back in the UK or maybe like the Netherlands by the end of it. And I think that they did kink stuff when they were in the Czech Republic. It's a really beautiful place. So the pictures I've seen of it looks fantastic. I'd go there just to like that part of the world, Czech Republic, Croatia, like Slovenia, like all that. Like I would love to check out that part of the world. I think it's an underrated travel destination. I will not be going to Rome. I will not. If you're in Italy, I'm sorry. I will not be going to Rome. Maybe I would go to, I just want to go somewhere that has nice beaches. And like kind of the only place that has it is like certain parts of Italy where the rich people are. And it's kind of sad. Like that's my priority when I'm on vacation. I either need to be completely in the fucking woods, or I need to be on like a white sand beach. It's not one of those two things. Don't take me out of the house. Yes, Thornwood is a Dark Odyssey event. Yes. Evie, when I go to public events, it's very unlikely that I see you. I go to public events in the DACH. Oh, as in Deutschland, Austria, and Switzerland. I don't think we'd meet there. Well, I would love to go check out the kink scene in that part of the world at some point. So I've thought about going to that's not part of the abbreviation, but like the Netherlands, I've definitely thought about going to kink events out there before. Which I've been to kink stuff in the Netherlands before. I've like there's lots of kink stuff out there, and I don't know why. Why are the Dutch so kinky? And that's a question that psychologists should answer. I imagine it has to do with like general like general kind of cultural permissibility around sex, maybe something to do with it. But yeah, go. There's still tickets for Thornwood if you guys want. If you're on the West Coast, if you want to go camping. Like, it's a pretty sweet deal, like, is to have 4 or 5 days of camping, and if you don't want to cook, they also have a meal plan that is gluten-free and vegan-friendly, and I'm not going to do it this year because I plan on subsisting, just to save money. I'm just going to probably, like, get protein bars and vegan hot dogs and fruit gels and fruit, and kind of have that be my situation for maybe some pre-made salads and some ginger shots, and that's going to be my diet. But that's also mostly what I do at conventions anyways. I'm going to mostly be consuming liquids is is the point. And you could read into that, I guess, if you want to. There's a joke in there about going to a kink camping event and then subsisting entirely on liquids. You can finish that one for yourselves if you'd like. Good question. I'm nervous about trying kink for the first time and feel like I would feel safer at a bigger event like Kink Fest. Would you recommend going to events like this as a complete beginner or not? So, I tentatively, yes. And I actually think Kink Fest in particular is a good option because Kink Fest is at an expo center. So it's separate. It's at a separate venue. It's away from a hotel. It's away from your room. Like, you're not trapped at the event center for the whole weekend. So if you have a bad time or if you feel overwhelmed, if you're local to the area, you can just go back home, or you can go back to your separate hotel room or your Airbnb and be completely away from the space and completely away from people that are at the event if you need that level of decompression. Whereas, especially at a camping event, but also at a hotel event, like, you're still, unless you leave entirely, which sometimes you can leave and come back, sometimes you can't. But if you are, well, I mean, usually you can. I don't know why I said that. Like, you can't always leave, but like your stuff's gonna be there is what I mean by that. Like, you have to check out, like, there's a more, like, if you leave, it's a lot harder to, like, leave temporarily and then come, like, it's more complicated, essentially. All right, do you want down, puppy? I think you do. Okay, go get your water. But yeah, I think at a hotel event or a camping event, you can feel a little bit more trapped if you're not in the vibe, because as you're walking around the space, and even if you're going to and from your hotel room, you're going to see people who are dressed up for the event. There are going to be people who try to strike up conversations with you. Like, it's a lot harder to mentally separate yourself from a bigger event and a more enclosed event space like that. But also maybe you just want to dive in. I know there's a couple people who are going to Thornwood as of their first ever kink event of any kind, which is like, first of all, how did you find this if you were already in the community? Like, that's crazy. But also, like, good luck, because that is, like, I feel like almost it would be very hard for other kink events that are more mundane and kind of like every, like, sort of a weekday thing to, like, live up to that thing. Like, the first time I went to a burlesque show was I went to, like, a burlesque competition in New Orleans. And then that spoiled burlesque for me because then I was used to a really, really high level of, like, execution of that art. And so there's definitely trade-offs there is what I'm trying to say. But I think as far as, like, would you be welcome? Is that a good environment for a new person? I forgot about this. A long time ago, before the pandemic, maybe like 2018, I took kind of not just me, but like my ex-partner that I'm no longer with, but was with at the time, one of their friends came with us to go to Dark Odyssey just to try it out as like the first time kind of being in a kink community space. We took him to a dungeon. We gave him like the 411 on everything. We gave him like a primer on what to expect and how to dress and what would happen. And they had a really good time and they liked it. And I don't think they were too overwhelmed by the space itself. They kind of discovered what they liked and what they didn't. But actually, I don't think it was too bad. I think especially with the with Dark Odyssey events, there's a lot of like newbie friendly education stuff that would be there. It really depends on the event, though. Like, some are going to be much more catered to more advanced players, and so you might not have as easy of a time connecting to people, whereas Dark Odyssey events, and I'm sure some other events that I'm, like, less aware of, but that's kind of, like, the big name that, you know, is on either coast. And Kink Fest, too, there's a lot of programming for newer people as well. So you're going to have more opportunities to meet and mingle with newer people. And another thing with Dark Odyssey, too, Kink Fest is kind of catching up in terms of having more social opportunities at the event itself. But historically, Dark Odyssey has really emphasized, like, community gathering spaces and, like, meetup groups and things like that, and, like, mixers. And I think those are really good for new people as well. I've definitely met new people at events that way, too. So I definitely think it could be a good option. I think just pacing yourself is really important, though. Like, it's very tempting to do everything, every hour on the schedule, the whole time, and even if you're an advanced kinkster, like, you're just not going to be able to do that. Same with any other convention, like if you go to an anime expo, or you go to like a Sakura con, or like a cosplay con, or a furry con, like, there's just too much stuff to do. You're not going to have enough time to do all of it, so don't burn yourself out. I would plan on doing, like, okay, if it's like a Friday, Saturday, Sunday event, I would like get there early, check in, do all that kind of registration stuff first day. If there's stuff in the evening, maybe go to a couple of social events, go to a class or two. I would maybe not even go to the dungeon the first night. I maybe recommend going the second night just to kind of let the beginning of the event sit in for a little bit. Then have like the full day on Saturday, wake up whenever you want, go to like the full class block if you want to, go to the socials, go to the dungeon, even just like walk around and check things out. I think earlier is better on that front because the later you go, the busier it's going to be within like a couple of hours. It gets to a point where it tips back over into being less busy, but like the first like 2 to 3 hours are probably going to be the busiest. And I think if you want to just like pace yourself, going at a time when it's less busy is probably going to be better. Focus on the social events, and the last day, take it easy, sleep in, take a nap, take some classes. Again, go to those social events and give yourself plenty of time to rest and relax when you get home. Because even though it was a probably vacation from work and everyday life, your brain and your body are absorbing a lot of new things, and that can be overwhelming. But I think the event spaces themselves will set aside room and space and time for newer people. You're going to meet other newer people there. And I think there's an advantage to like the anonymity of being in a really, really big convention for sure. But yeah, just don't overbook yourself. Don't do too much. Give yourself permission to have lots of big feelings, but I think it is possible. But good question, for sure. I think people don't really consider that as an option for like a first event because, I mean, they are only like once a year, so, you know, it is hard to catch some of them. But yeah, good question. I'm going to go ahead and... Oh, let me check. I'll just see if you had any, like, follow-up stuff real quick. And then I will... that's it. All right, moving on to the next one. Who's the next question? Actually, while I'm thinking about that, I am going to get my water bottle so I don't completely lose my voice. Hi, puppy. Hi, puppy baby. Hi, girl. Me and my trusty creatine fruit punch. Have you ever worn corsets or latex outfits for events or IRL? Yes, uncommonly to both. Especially at a big convention, I will prioritize stuff that I think looks good, but that I can wear really long term. And I don't typically wear latex for extended periods of time, and I typically don't wear corsets for more than like a couple hours at a time either. So I don't wear them a whole lot, but they do happen occasionally. Although I have considered selling kind of just like my whole latex collection and just kind of like moving on from that because I just don't find myself wearing it. I just find myself like enjoying other textures more and enjoying other things. So I don't know if the latex is gonna stick around, but then I find like a cute design and I want to make an outfit and it's just I don't know. And then I was organizing my latex collection and I spilled an entire bottle of lube all over it and that was a pain to clean up, and I was like, that's annoying. And I could save like half of the space underneath my bed storage if I just didn't have that container that had latex in it anymore. But it's been a process of figuring out how to sell it, what to sell it for, take measurements, all that stuff. So, yeah. All right. Answer the question about pain again. Which kink do you practice the most these days? Example for pet play. Probably the most frequent things would be like primal play and rough body play are the most common. I have a lot of desire to do more kinky things, kind of beyond that. Like I definitely want to do more bondage. I want to do like more impact play, but the partners that I have that live locally to me are not really instrument people. Like they like their hands. They don't like a lot of like, even just a collar is like, whoo, like that's like, it's like they just prefer as much like direct tactile contact as possible. So like claws and punching, yes. Flogger, not really. So, I mean, one of them has a flogger, at least they probably could, but it's, not something we've necessarily explored overly much. But that's probably the most common. Then, like, DS, like CNC kind of flavor. I think I talked about this a little bit in the Q&A I put out last week on my birthday. I, like, basically do like primal play CNC is basically the undergirding of like all kink I do at this point outside of pickup play, because that is the thing that is like the most satisfying and the most motivating for me. And it was really kind of the thing I wanted the whole time I was doing kink, but was not something I found an outlet for, or like partners that wanted to do that kind of thing with me. And I gave more traditional DS relationships a good shake. I definitely still like a lot of elements of more traditional DS in terms of like, you know, structure and like set rules and expectations and things like, you know, habit tracking and accountability. Like I like all that stuff and I would want to include that in relationships in the future. But for right now, kind of where I'm at is more of like a just sort of general blanket consent, free use CNC primal play stuff without kind of getting into too many specifics. But that is where I'm at, and I'm almost entirely very satisfied with it. But there are just some kinks that don't really like fit within that with the partners I currently have that I'd like to explore with other people, that I mostly do via like pick up play at events. So things like bondage, although there are like, you know, people I see less frequently that I can do like things like blood play and bondage and things with, but you know, there's so many kinks, and I can only have so much real estate on my body, and I can only do so many things on a weekend, you know what I mean? So I have to pick and choose. Like, okay, I'm going to be, you know, seeing a person this weekend. All right, we have like 2.5 days to do stuff. I have the energy to do 2 scenes. Of the 50 different kinks I want to explore, which ones am I going to pick to do? And for right now, kind of the main things I want to do more of that I'm not currently doing would be like blood play and bondage are sort of like the two big ones I'd like to incorporate more again. Is it harder for plus size people to do BDSM? I'm asking because I'm slightly larger and I'm kind of worried about how certain things would work like bondage. What would be more difficult is not necessarily your body size in and of itself. It would be a conversation about your body's capabilities in general, in terms of like, do you have any conditions? Do you have any like conditions? Do you have any like disorders? Do you have any like, you know, other things going on that can affect anyone of any size, but like might come up like as a thing you would need to have a conversation about. And I think that's a thing that most people have to negotiate around regardless of their body type. Some people will definitely have more trouble finding partners. I will say though, when I go to places like Kink Fest or I go to big dungeons in general, you will see all different people of all different body types, all different sizes, and you will especially see a cross-section of our entire society. So you will definitely see a lot of people with your body type, people who are smaller than you, people who are bigger than you, people using mobility aids, people with like people who are blind, people that are deaf, people that are like all different sorts of human beings will be there. But you know, fat phobia is still a thing in our culture. So finding reliable play partners, depending on what your kink is, could be more difficult. With rope bondage in particular, that is more of a concern. I think with like impact play and things, size makes less of a difference in terms of like there's definitely more tops that are more willing to play with more body types. But with rope bondage, because of the fact that a lot of people are like weirdo freakazoids about shibari and are like, I only want to tie people that have like the proportions of like a Japanese model or like whatever the fuck. Ridiculous. So there is a misconception that people that are bigger like cannot do bondage, which is not true. There are modifications that you can make to make the bondage more comfortable. Places like Shibari Study and Evie Vane, not me, different Evie. Evie Vane has a book that's called Better Bondage for Everybody, and it's all about bondage for different body types and sizes and making adjustments for that, which I think is really important. So whether it's like the length of the rope, the diameter of the rope, the number of wraps you're using, like there's definitely ways you can use rope to make things more comfortable. It's not a one-size-fits-all thing. And if anyone tells you, oh, you're like too big to be suspended, or you're not flexible enough, or like whatever, like that's horseshit. I've seen people in wheelchairs be suspended in their wheelchair before, like different places at different load ratings. If you are a human being you will almost never, ever, ever, ever have to deal with if it is an appropriately installed hardpoint with the load rating it should have to be in a public venue. You will not have to worry about that. It should just be fine. But yeah, I think that's it's an important thing to bring up because yeah, fat phobia and like sizeism and stuff definitely still exists in kink, but I think it's much different than what people would expect. Because if you just look at kink from like social media and pretty photos on FetLife, you think everyone who does kink is like skinny 22-year-olds who don't have a single blemish on their body and have breast implants and like whatever, and that's totally not the case. It's very average. You will see the most average human beings you've ever seen in your entire life, which is a good thing in the kink world. And you will see people who look like you. And honestly, I think that's really a powerful thing for a lot of people. And one of the reasons why I encourage people to give kink a try is I think it's really I've experienced this and other people have experienced this. When you are in a kink environment where you have all different people of all different types in various states of undress, you know, having sex in public or getting spanked or getting suspended or doing whatever, I feel like it kind of helps break your brain away from the idea that pleasure is only allowed for people who look a certain way. When you're seeing all these people being appreciated, being enjoyed, having partnerships, no matter what they look like or who they are, I think it just like makes you feel better about the fact that like you're a real human being and you're not comparing yourself to people on like Instagram or social media anymore. Because you're like, oh, I'm a real person. This is how my body looks. Here are all these other people that I also like and respect, and here's how their bodies look, and it's fine. And like just normalizing different body types, like being naked and giving pleasure and receiving pleasure, and like also with age and stuff as well. That's a big one too. It's not just like size, but also people who are like in their 50s, in their 60s, beyond, you know, receiving and giving pleasure too. I think, you know, sort of letting go of the idea that, you know, enjoyment and good relationships and pleasure are just for like skinny married 22-year-olds, you know. But yeah, difficult is subjective. What's hard is subjective because it could mean a bunch of different things, whether it's finding partnerships or just doing things physically. But it doesn't necessarily have to be. But people can still be dicks. That's always a factor. All right, we have 5 minutes left. Ask your questions now or forever hold your peace. If I missed an earlier question, please re-ask it. I will try my best to get to it, but you will have to wait until next week. I am fingers crossed, unless I can manage to get myself sick again, which I shouldn't get strep throat again for a long time, so that at least will be eliminated. But basically between now and like Thornwood, for the next like 6 weeks, I am trying to keep as normal of a schedule as possible. I don't want to go out and do anything extra. I don't want to go out of my way to do nothing. I just want to be at home on my grind working. All right, I do not want to have anything messed up. Thought I scratched myself for a second, but I'm good. I mean, if you're in your 80s, you know, I don't think I want to see Joe Biden in a dungeon. So, like, maybe if you're in your 80s, maybe don't. But, but it's not even like, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't say that. But, like, at that point, I'm like, you definitely should talk to your doctor if you're doing impact play in your 80s. Like, the risk for osteoporosis and, like, severe bone breakage is, like, we've crossed the threshold there. We're like, no, there could be some pretty severe health ramifications for engaging in certain levels of BDSM at that age. Are there any East Coast events that you're interested in? The big one is Test Fest in July next year. And if there are events that you'd like to see me at, the advice that I would give is reach out to organizers, float my name, say, hey, when are you like accepting applications for presenters? Suggest me, have people reach out to me, because I would love to teach out there. I just need to have a reason to do it, and it is helpful if I don't just have to like guess about like when to apply to things or when things are happening. But that's probably the biggest one on my radar. Also potentially interested in Winter Fire, which I think is in January or February. I think it's in Maryland, I think, or DC, one of those two. I mean, they're side by side, so same difference. Not sure which airport I'd be flying into, but I'm assuming it would be DC. But probably those two would be the biggest I would be interested in, because they're, I like Dark Odyssey. Test Fest is totally separate from any other event that I've been to before, but based on what I've heard about it, it has a very good reputation, and looks like it's at a really nice venue. So I like to give it a try. But those are probably the two biggest ones on my radar for the time being. In how many languages barks your fluff ball? I think just one. I think just English. Although, I don't know. She might have picked up other languages. I'm not her first owner, so there's other. She has had different owners before me who are of different ethnicities, but I don't know if they ever talked to her in a non-English language. But there is a chance that she knows other languages besides English. So I don't know. But English for sure. That's basically it. Will there be an artist alley for BDSM for Kink cons in the future, since there's a lot of BDSM artists now online? Kink Fest historically has done artist alley stuff. Most Kink, like bigger Kink events like conventions, will have not an artist alley. They call it like a vendor hall. But you will see people that sell like erotic paintings or like stained glass. I've seen quite a bit of crochet stuff, wall tapestries. But it's not just art. It's also like play toys and clothing and stuff. But it's all kind of, knife forging and screen printing are all also like, and embroidery. Those are all, forms of art too, leather craftings and art. So yes, definitely. They're definitely going to be out there. Kinkfest used to have kind of a more traditional, here's a row of people that all do like traditional art in like paintings and photography and sketches. And even now, there's still somebody at Kinkfest who will do like live nude sketches of people, which I've never partaken in before. Maybe one year I'll do that. Do you feel like most people prefer that you wax completely down there? Like a bikini or like a Brazilian. I'm a little self-conscious about it. I want to be prepared. I've heard everything. Cultural expectation is typically that people are completely bare. For just doing impact play and bondage and stuff, I've never had anyone make any comments or have any questions about whatever state my body hair is in. Either completely shaved, totally waxed off, just trimmed. I don't think I've ever had like full bush and like done something with a new person before. I think as long as it's what you're comfortable with and like what you feel secure about, like you shouldn't feel like you need to get waxed to like do what makes you feel confident. A lot of people do like a landing strip, and actually I think I see more people in the BDSM community than maybe outside of it either rock like full bush or do a trim, and just do what works for you. I don't think tops generally care. If you're in a relationship with someone, like most people have opinions about their partner's body hair, whether it's like their beard hair and you're like, I like you clean shaven, I like you with a mustache, like a full beard, or if they have opinions about armpit hair or like pubic hair or whatever. People can have their opinions, but if they're like, you have to get waxed, you must, or I will not touch you, and you're like, well, but I really like my full bush actually, like, don't feel like you have to get waxed if you don't want to, Like, there are people who love full bush. There are people who love just a trim. There are people who love a landing strip. For every different type of, I don't care. Listen, okay, I'll just preempt this follow-up, maybe unspoken question. It does not matter what your labia looks like, what your ball sack looks like, your penis, your clit, your pubic hair, your armpit hair. It does not matter. There is somebody out there who fucking loves whatever you've got going on, okay? Whether you've got like big balls and a tiny penis, or you've got like full bush, or you have prominent labia, or like virtually no labia at all, like an inner labia, like doesn't matter. There's somebody out there who is like, I fucking love it, that's super hot, yes, okay? People, like, there's some, like, people think that, like, honestly, I think we need to give, like, humans more credit. I think we all sort of assume everyone's very porn-brained and likes one very specific look and body type. Like, everyone likes blonde, skinny, slightly tanned women who are totally bare and have like no inner labia and have, whatever other things going on. And I have met so many people that are like, I love my partner's bush, or I love it when my partner like has whatever an anatomical feature, like whatever random thing that you don't even know about yourself is attractive. Somebody's like, I fucking love that shit, whether it's like a clavicle or like the shape of your fucking hip bones or like, I don't want to know like the shape of your arms or your fingers. Somebody is like, that's super hot, and I noticed you because of that thing, and it's super fucking hot. So, anyways, be more confident, I guess, is the question. Yeah. Thoughts regarding when to mention you're poly or trying it to a new person you've met when you don't yet know if they're positioned on it. Don't want to be too forward, too early, but don't want to seem like you're withholding. So for me, if I'm on a dating app, I say I'm polyamorous. Like, that's like a non-starter. If you're on a dating app, especially if you're on like Hinge, I know there's an option for saying you're open to either monogamy or non-monogamy, or open to exploring or whatever. And you can put in there like, I am not monogamous yet, but I am curious about it. And I think that would be great, because then people know, they can see in your profile, it's right there, it's immediate. You don't even necessarily have to have a conversation about it. If you're meeting someone in real life and you're going on a date and you're interested in them, I would not hide your curiosity about non-monogamy for very long, because there are people who, even if it's after like 3 or 4 dates, if you've not brought it up by then, when you do bring it up and say, oh yeah, I'm like, I'm happy with what we're doing, and I'm curious like how you might feel about trying non-monogamy, because it's something that like I'm curious about it, like however you end up phrasing it. They're gonna be like, hard no, shut down, you tried to trick me, this is deceptive, how dare you. So I think it's like a first date conversation, honestly. Like, I don't have time for people who are, also because I already have partners, especially, polyamory has to be part of the, like, it's a non-negotiable. Kink, you have to be okay with it. It's a non-negotiable. And so I'll talk about those things, like, not necessarily immediately, but it's going to be a first or second date conversation, or even a conversation between those dates, just to make sure that there's not, like, a mismatch in, like, basic life compatibility. But if you're not sure if you're, like, gonna want to do polyamory or not, and you're maybe open to the idea, I think, again, like, because if you're dating a poly person, or going on a date with a poly person, and if you're not sure if you're into that or not, they need to know, because they might only want to date people who know for sure that they're into poly. And the opposite is true as well, right? Like, there are people who are very monogamous and are insulted to the idea that anyone would even want to try non-monogamy. And if you are even open to the idea, that's a non-starter for them. And it'll just, like, don't waste time dating people that aren't really compatible with what you're into or curious about. And if you're looking for a life partner, or you want to have a long-term relationship, but you also maybe want to explore polyamory, if you don't know that's not on the table, like, that could be a big deal. So bringing it up sooner, I think, is always better. The average person either doesn't care or is totally unique in their preference. Yeah. I happily enjoy my late night Sonic's Reese's Pieces of Vanilla Milkshake as I'm watching this. Thank you. Oh, that sounds delightful. That sounds I would love to have a milkshake right now. I think I'm going to settle for some fruit gel. But that being said, that is all the time I have for today. So thank you all so much for being with me on this beautiful Friday afternoon. We're going to be sticking with our usual schedule. We are definitively back to normal in terms of uploads and live streaming. Fingers crossed, pending any future unseen illnesses or equipment breakdowns or such, like, knock on wood. Hopefully none of that will happen. Maybe it'll be a heat wave. It'll be 110 degrees and I'm going to, like, melt into the carpet. That's also a distinct possibility. But outside of those extremes, we're going to be just keeping things normal. So if you want to come back here, we stream every Friday at 6 p.m. Pacific time. And I make kink videos, and you should watch the one that I put out earlier today about female-led relationships and femdom. So have a good weekend. Stay safe. Drink your water. Wear your sunscreen. Good night, everybody. Stay safe.